Texas beats Arizona State. Man, what a game that was. An overtime game. Texas beats Arizona State 39-31. Do any of us really think that like Texas deserved to win that game? Whew. Because Arizona State outplayed them all day. The numbers are staggering, by the way, for the Sun Devils. Staggering in terms of what they did from a total yardage standpoint and how many more snaps that they had. Like, this Arizona State team played phenomenal. Now, they made some really bad mistakes, and those mistakes are going to end up costing them the opportunity to move on in this tournament. ASU outgained Texas. They had 37 more plays than Texas. They had 200 plus rushing yards. Texas had 63 or something along those lines. It was a thoroughly dominant performance from Arizona State outside of the fact that they were down 2 scores all game. It was one of these strange types of games. And listen, to be fair, I will say, one of the reasons why they had such a staggering advantage in terms of time of possession and number of snaps is because Texas scores in 2 plays to basically open the game, and then they take the punt back for a touchdown. So right there, you're kind of eliminating maybe the potential of 2 long drives. And so I understand that. And if I'm a Texas fan, I'm certainly arguing towards that end. But the way that Arizona State kept chipping away, kept coming back, 510 yards of total offense, 214 on the ground, 97 total plays, held it for 37 minutes. Cam Skattebo is a legend, man. This guy, he was unreal. 38 touches and a 4th down pass. This guy was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never really seen anything like it. I mean, in particular, just the effort given by Skattebo to try to get his team in a position to win, which he did. He got them in a position to win. The fact that they come up short, he's got to be sick. Kenny Dillingham has got to be sick. Arizona State fans have got to be sick because they had their opportunities. Listen, I'm going to get into some of the controversy, but I'll just tell you this. If you were to talk with the coaches, before the game, and you talk with Kenny Dillingham, and you told him, hey, you're going to get stopped on 4th down several times inside of your own 40. You're going to have a field goal blocked, and you're going to give up a punt return for a touchdown against Texas. He would have said, oh, we're going to lose by, a couple of scores if that happens. So the fact that Arizona State was even in the game is a testament to the Sun Devils and their defense, the way they shut down Texas's run game, which was totally shut down. Again, we've seen it now against Georgia twice and now against Arizona State, which is just totally hit or miss now with the Longhorns, and more on that in a little bit. So Texas gets the special teams punt return score, and then they get those stops on 4th down, and that's really the game. And I'll credit, by the way, Quinn Ewers. I said he was the one that I was questioning. Ewers was the guy that kind of made this happen. The long drive in the second half, really the only thing they did offensively outside of that opening few minutes of the game, that long drive in the second half, he was making plays. You go to overtime, he's making plays on 4th down and in overtime. Ewers was I thought really good in this game. And going into the game, I was hesitant in terms of what he was going to give me at the quarterback position. Where Texas fell short was everywhere else. This dominant offensive line against Clemson did not show up against Arizona State. This defense that has been as good as anybody in college football during the course of the year did not show up, against Cam Skattebo and the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now, did Skattebo have to go just, subhuman, not even superhuman, like subhuman in order to get some of that production? Yes, he did. But Texas still gives up 500 yards of total offense. So my question is how do we feel about Texas, even in a win right now? I think that there are a lot of questions. I'm looking at this team, and I'm wondering why they get stopped so much on offense. with this creative play caller and these weapons and this offensive line and this veteran quarterback, why is it that they're running for under 100 yards against Georgia twice and now against Arizona State, but then they can run it well against Clemson? Why is that? I don't understand. Why is it that this offense can go so stagnant for large sections of time against quality opponents? Why is that? Why is it that the defense couldn't get the stops necessary outside of some of those fourth down stops inside of the 40-yard line? And my worry for Texas is that they're about to see a much better version of the teams that they've just struggled with. Ohio State is 100% better than Georgia on both sides of the ball. Ohio State is better than Arizona State. They have a lot more dynamic weapons offensively, a team that just put up 500 yards, on you. And their defense is a better defense from a holistic standpoint, from a secondary and front six standpoint. So, how do we feel about Texas right now? And right now, if I was a Longhorn fan, I would be a little bit worried. They got the stops when necessary, and then Ewers showed up big time when he was needed most on fourth down. That was huge. Now to the controversy. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of conversation about this targeting no call on that last series for Arizona State. Here's the situation. If Arizona State can stay on the field and have a first down at the 37 of Texas, there's a really good chance that they're going to have a quality field goal opportunity. You can't say they would have won the game. They would have had a chance to kick a field goal to win the game. As it was, they have to punt it away. Now, was the targeting called on the field? No. Did review then get involved and say, hey, let's take a look at this and see if there was targeting? Yes. All right. Let's go into this. First and foremost, and I know you guys probably get sick of hearing this, but there are two versions of targeting or two different sections of the rule. One section of the rule just means at any point as a player, you cannot, with the crown of your helmet, strike another player in any part of him. So that's just like targeting with the crown, okay? So that's one section of targeting. The other section of targeting is there are players that are deemed defenseless. One of them is a category of like wide receivers finishing a catch. Once you're deemed a defenseless player by rule, then any contact to your head or neck area by any part of the body of the opponent is deemed targeting. What we're talking about is that section of the rule. Okay, so Arizona State completes a ball, it's third down, and I believe it was Michael Taft comes up and bam, and there's a big hit. No penalty on the field. But as they're tending to the Arizona State player, they go to the review. Once targeting is being reviewed, it's totally different than all other reviews. And this is what I think is really important. Really important. I didn't hear the commentary because I was sitting there and this was right before the kick of the Rose Bowl. So I'm sitting there and we're trying to watch a screen and it was hard to actually pick out what was being said. But once review is looking at targeting, they are reviewing all aspects of the play. Okay, why is that important? Because it's the only review process that behaves that way, where they review all aspects. In every other review, the call on the field is being basically evaluated. Was the call right or not? And I have to have indisputable video evidence in order to overturn the call on the field. When it's targeting, it's totally different. You go in, blank slate, blank sheet, and you just say, is this targeting or not? So those are two very different ways that review is supposed to operate. All right. So once review has this play in their purview, it's 100% targeting. And I hate targeting. I've been one of the biggest proponents of or opponents of the targeting rule in college football. But as a rule, that was 1,000% targeting. There's no other way to evaluate that. It was a defenseless player that got contacted forcibly in his head or neck area, period. There's zero chance that that can come out of the review and them say, that's not targeting. Because it is by rule. What I dislike about the targeting rule is the ejection. What am I an opponent of? Well, It's not going away, first of all. So what I don't love about the targeting rule is that we're ejecting the player. And so what's happened is that the penalty is so penal to the individual that we've tried in review and in officiating to keep players in the game, which I'm a fan of. But the bottom line is like, if it's a rule, then call it consistently. The biggest issue here is that if that's the second quarter, that's 100% of targeting. If that's the third quarter, it's 100% of targeting. I believe it was not called targeting for the sole reason that it would have given Arizona State a first down late in the game with a chance to win the game on that drive. If it's not in that spot on the game, that's 100% a targeting call. So you might be thinking to yourself like, well, doesn't this get into like, should we or shouldn't we swallow the whistle? Should a call really determine the outcome of a game? I will tell you this. I've been a proponent of on-field officials having a lighter whistle or swallowing the whistle late, in particular when you're talking about calls that really could be called on any play at any given time, like a hold or a grab here or there, or some contact here between the defensive back and the wide receiver. Those are really tough, bang judgment calls that could go either way at any point in the game. So unless it's egregious, I tend to lean in the like, hey, let's let them play late, which is exactly what was going on in this game because the official didn't throw the flag on the field. Now, the official on the field has a far different job than the review official in the booth. Once that play is in the review, it should have been called a targeting because then it's letter of the law. Now you don't have the nuance. It is or it isn't. You're reviewing it. And it was. So that call going against Arizona State was awful, man. I tell you what, absolutely awful. Should have been called, wasn't. Texas goes down, misses the field goal. They get a reprieve. They go into overtime. And then the big killer is Arizona State has 4th and 13 with their defense on the field, and Ewers goes to Matthew Golden for a touchdown. Great call, great route, great throw. Give Texas a lot of credit. That takes serious stones. Couple of things from the Arizona State side. Would have loved to see some pressure, and as a safety, you cannot let Matthew Golden run right past you right down the seam. They're running a quarters look, and quarters is a little bit different than the way the safety has to play. He's in what's called a pattern read. By the way, we're going to have a X's and O's series, and I did a video on this that we're going to be releasing here at some point in the next month on coverages, and I talk about a safety and a pattern read and what that means. And what the safety was doing from Arizona State was that he was pattern reading number 2. If he goes vertical, he's got to take him vertical, and he's getting a vertical route in his face, and he never goes with him vertically. And there's Golden for a touchdown on 4th and 13. So now you've had several opportunities inside the 40 and failed on 4th down. You've gotten a field goal blocked. You've given up a punt return for a touchdown, and you got 4th and 13 with your defense on the field and the game on the line, and you can't get off the field. You see, folks, to win these games, you still have to make plays. You can't go back and just say the call lost us the game when all the other things also took place. And that's exactly what happened. There was way too many mistakes. Arizona State makes any one of those plays and they likely win this game, but they didn't, and Texas did. Texas returned the punt for a touchdown. Texas got off the field on 4th down. Ewers made the play on 4th down on 4th and 13 and gets into the end zone to Matthew Golden. Those are the plays that are made that ultimately determine the game. And that's where Texas really stepped up, man. I tell you what, that was a huge win. And now Sark and the Texas Longhorns for the second straight year are going to be in the national semifinal after they take care of Arizona State. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you like this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.